Namaste, my dear Hindu brothers and sisters. This series has not been easy for me to create. For a long time, I resisted it. Every time I began to reflect on the suffering our Hindu ancestors endured over the course of more than 1,000 years, my eyes filled with tears. The weight of that history is heavy. It is painful, it is brutal, but it is ours. And the truth is, we are not being taught it. Not in our schools, not in our universities, not in the mainstream media. An entire chapter of our civilizational memory has been softened, distorted, or erased. So I have made a decision. I am creating this series not to provoke hatred, not to target any religion or any community, and not to hold people today responsible for the actions of the past. The individuals living now are not accountable for what their ancestors may have done. This series is about something deeper. It is about truth. Because without truth, there can be no understanding. Without understanding, there can be no healing. And without healing, there can be no reconciliation. If we are to move forward with dignity, we must first look back with honesty. So let us begin. The year is 712 CE. The Arabian Sea churns under the hulls of Arab warships, carrying 6,000 soldiers and a 17-year-old general named Muhammad bin Qasim. His mission? Conquer Sindh, modern-day Pakistan, for the Umayyad Caliphate. But this is no ordinary invasion. Qasim's orders, straight from his superior Hajjaj bin Yusuf, are chilling. Give no quarter to infidels, cut their throats, take the women and children as captives. Qasim's first target is Debal, a thriving port city near Karachi. Home to 4,000 Kshatriya warriors and 3,000 Brahmins, Debal is a center of trade, faith, and resistance. The Arabs attack at dawn. The Kshatriyas fight fiercely, but they are outnumbered and outmaneuvered. By sunset, every man over 17 is dead. The women and children, rounded up like cattle. The Chachnama, an Arab chronicle, describes the horror. All males of the age of 17 and upwards were put to the sword. Their women and children were taken prisoner. Several hundred women who had sought refuge in the city's temple are dragged out by their hair. Their ornaments are torn off, their clothes ripped away. They are now spoils of war. 1/5 of the plunder, 75 high-born damsels, is sent to Hajjaj as tribute. The rest are divided among the soldiers. This is not war, this is extermination, and it is only the beginning. Qasim does not stop at Debal. His army marches inward towards Rawar, Shwan, and Ramanabad. Each city falls the same way. Men slaughtered, women enslaved, temples desecrated. At Rawar, 6,000 men are massacred in 3 days. Their families, 60,000 souls, are chained and marched into captivity. Among them are 30 princesses of royal blood, now reduced to concubines for Arab masters. The Arabs are not just conquering a land, they are erasing a people. From Debal, Qasim's army moves like a plague through Sindh. Every city that resists meets the same fate. Men killed, women violated, children sold. The slave caravans begin their long, brutal march to the markets of Basra and Baghdad, where Indian captives are auctioned like livestock. At Brahmanabad, between 6,000 and 16,000 fighting men are butchered. Their wives and daughters are stripped, chained, and marched into captivity. The slave markets of the Islamic world have never seen such an influx of human cargo. Historian Andre Wink writes, from the 7th century onward, a considerable number of Jats, Hindus, were captured as prisoners of war and deported to Iraq and elsewhere as slaves. The price of a human life? 2 to 10 dirhams, the cost of a goat. Hajjaj's instructions to Qasim are explicit and uncompromising. Grant pardon to no one of the enemy, spare none of them. And Qasim obeys. At Multan, the garrison is slaughtered to the last man. The families of the warriors, 6,000 women and children, are loaded onto carts and sent to the Caliph in Damascus. The Arabs are not just conquering a land, they are erasing a civilization. The scale of the horror is almost unimaginable. In just a few years, tens of thousands of Hindus are enslaved. The men who survived the initial massacre are castrated and sold as eunuchs. The women are forced into harems or sold as domestic slaves. The children, raised as Muslims. Their past erased, their identities stolen. This is not merely conquest, this is cultural genocide. And the worst part? This is only the beginning. The Arabs do not just attack cities, they target temples. Why? Because temples are the heart of Hindu civilization. They are places of worship, centers of learning, treasure houses, and symbols of resistance. By destroying them, Qasim knows he can break the spirit of the people. At Multan, the great temple is razed to the ground. Its priests are beheaded, its idols smashed. The Brahmins, the keepers of knowledge, are massacred or forced to convert. The message is clear: your gods cannot save you. The Arabs employ a psychological weapon that will be used for centuries to come: skull towers. The heads of the slain are piled high at the city gates, a grim warning to those who dare resist. The effect is devastating. Villages that once fought back now surrender without a fight. The Chachnama records the brutality. The infidels were put to the sword and their families were led into captivity. This is not an isolated incident. It is a pattern, a system. The Arabs understand something fundamental about conquest. Terror works. The more brutal the repression, the less resistance they will face in the future. And so, they perfect the art of cruelty. But here is the question that haunts us. Why don't we know this? Why is this chapter of our history erased from our textbooks? The answer lies in centuries of historical whitewashing. First by British colonial historians, then by Nehruvian secularists, who found the truth too inconvenient to acknowledge. Qasim's invasion of Sindh is not an isolated event. It is the beginning of a 1,000-year nightmare. The Arabs may not stay in India for long, but they leave behind a blueprint for conquest that future invaders will follow to the letter. For the next 1,000 years, Muslim rulers will use the same tactics: invade, massacre, enslave, repeat. The Turks will come, then the Afghans, then the Mughals. Each wave of invaders will outdo the last in brutality. The Arabs introduced three deadly innovations to India. 1. Slavery as state policy. Captives are not just byproducts of war, they are the primary objective. 2. Temple destruction as psychological warfare. Break the symbols of faith and you break the people. 3. A broken resistance. Hindu kingdoms divided and demoralized will struggle to unite against future invasions. Qasim himself does not stay in India. He is recalled to Iraq, where he dies under mysterious circumstances. But the system he created lives on. The slave markets of Baghdad and Basra continue to thrive on Indian blood. The trauma he inflicted will echo through the centuries. Today, Debal is a ruin. Its people are forgotten. But the legacy of 712 CE is still with us. And the worst part? This is only the first chapter in a 1,000-year horror story. For 200 years, British historians controlled the narrative of India's past. Men like James Mill and Vincent Smith portrayed Hindu civilization as decadent and weak, while Muslim invaders were described as civilized and enlightened. The real atrocities, the massacres, the enslavement, the cultural genocide, were buried. Even after independence, Nehruvian historians continued the whitewash. Textbooks glorified Akbar and Aurangzeb while ignoring the millions who suffered under their rule. The invasion of Sindh, a footnote, if mentioned at all. Why? Because the truth was too inconvenient. It did not fit the narrative of a secular, tolerant India. It did not align with the political correctness of the day. But the Arab records tell a different story. The Chachnama does not mince words. The Muslims put the infidels to the sword and led their families into captivity. Neither do the accounts of later invaders who boast of their conquests in gory detail. Today, Pakistan celebrates Qasim as a national hero. In India, his name is barely whispered. This is not about Hindu versus Muslim. This is about truth versus lies. And the truth is this: millions were enslaved, millions were killed, and we owe them the memory of their suffering. Here is the question that no one dares to ask. If the transatlantic slave trade is taught in every school, if the Holocaust is memorialized in museums around the world, why is India's slavery forgotten? Was it less brutal? No. The numbers were just as high. Was it less documented? No. The Arabs wrote about it proudly. So why the silence? Because acknowledging this history forces us to confront uncomfortable truths. It forces us to ask, who benefits from forgetting? The transatlantic slave trade lasted for 400 years. The Muslim slave trade in India lasted for 1,000. Yet one is taught in every classroom while the other is erased. This series is not about blame. It is about justice. For the millions who suffered, for the civilization that bled, and for the future that must never repeat this horror. The next video in this series will look at Mahmud of Ghazni, the butcher of Hindustan. If you like this video, please subscribe to this channel, hit the bell icon and share this video. Let other Hindus know. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Vande Mataram.